Hey everyone, it's been a while. My setup probably looks a little bit different. My camera, so I got this really nice 360K video camera. It's nice and it also like follows you. Oh, isn't that just beautiful? We're using it for our podcast that we're doing, the Theta Wave podcast. Okay, if you really enjoy neuroscience, philosophy, AI, that type of stuff, I would 100% recommend checking it out. It's a really, really good podcast. And obviously, it's kind of still in the beginning phases. We've only done 4 episodes. And so we're still trying to figure the whole thing out. I mean, neither of us has ever done a podcast before. So it's me and my friend Ryan, who is an AI machine learning specialist. And that guy is just absolutely wonderful. He's older, he's wiser, he's just got everything figured out pretty much for the most part. Obviously, he would say differently, but that guy's very smart. So I absolutely love working with him. And so, yeah, I guess we'll start off the video with that. But I just really wanted to hop on here and just kind of speak to you guys a little bit. It's been a while. So let me give you a little bit of a life update. I finally changed my major. So I was just doing my core classes, and I didn't realize this, but I was still on the criminal justice program. And I was like, shoot, I can't do that. So I was like trying to figure out exactly what I should do because there are multiple routes you can go before you go into neuroscience. And so for my associates, I decided, okay, I've got literally all my core classes done. I can finish this probably by the end of summer. Let's just do biomedical engineering. And so I decided on that. And so I'm going to be focusing pretty much on calculus and engineering for the entirety of this year. And I am actually so excited about it. You know, calculus. Calculus is definitely one of those things where you have to learn to love it because it has such a stigma around it that it's super hard, super uninteresting, terrible. You're not going to have fun doing it. But what's interesting is that the more I read books on how to make calculus easy, the beauty behind calculus, those types of videos, I truly began to understand, especially from someone like me who is in love with the sciences. I realized, wow, calculus is beautiful. It truly is. And so I'm actually really excited to just spend my whole life on it because maybe I'll seem like a nerd by the end of it, but honestly, I'm pretty okay with that. That's totally fine with me. But yeah, let me pick apart my brain real quick. So, it's been quite the journey. I have been spending less time on the philosophical side and more so on the neuroscience side. And so it's been diving into the prefrontal cortex and its connections with the limbic system and the anterior cingulate cortex and that close integration between those two brain structures. And then, of course, with the thalamus, I've been trying to really figure out the neuroscience behind conscious experience. And what I've realized is that it's quite integrated. Of course, there's a reason why the thalamocortical system, which is the connections between your thalamus and your cortex, have the most phi, which is the the consciousness of integrated information theory. And that obviously seems like, okay, what's the implications of that? What does that even mean? And to me, the implications are that the more integrated certain patterns within a system are, the better your conscious experience is going to be. And all of that is goal oriented. And so if you change your experience to have more novel insight into your surroundings and have new incoming sensory information, no matter which of the senses they are, and you attune to that, then actually that new sensory information is going to integrate into your goal orientedness. And so that might even change you fundamentally. I mean, that's what the neuroscience behind psychedelics is saying, is that the novelty of your experiences are going to heighten the sensitivity to sensory information as well as internal sensitivity to your goals. And so what's going to happen is those are going to integrate, and you actually, since you have a heightened conscious experience, are going to be able to change your goals or look at new things that you might want to consider in life. And so that's definitely something I find interesting. I want to try that personally, but actually I'm going to Costa Rica, which is going to be very interesting because I'm going to an ayahuasca retreat. So I'm starting off just hitting it big. So I'm actually pretty excited. I think it's going to be a really good time. But yeah, I'm going with my uncle. So he was super awesome, by the way. Love that guy. And so we'll see how that works. I'm obviously going to do a video about my ayahuasca experience, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite the experience. I've heard many different things about it, but I've only ever heard positive ones. And so obviously ones that are kind of scary, but the people who did them didn't have a scary ending. It's not like they went insane. Rather, they became more integrated with their experience. And, I often use the term integrated because it's just nice. It's just that aspect of synchrony that I think a lot of people are missing because, excuse me, it's not all about picking and choosing. That's only one side of it. It's also about taking what you have and converting it to your to further understanding your baseline model for success in life. And we have, from an evolutionary perspective, right? We have gene propagation, we have survival. Those things are important, but they're also overarching goals. They're meta goals. They're what orient us almost at the largest scale possible. I don't think so, but I think that it's very important. I think we should kind of tune into that because it kind of makes us more aware of why we act the way we do. And I think that there's a lot of cultural reasons as to why we don't look at it that way because we want to think we're something different than we are. And I don't have a problem with that. You can think however you want to. You can think you are anything at this point. That's the wonderful thing about humans is that we have such incredible cognitive functions that we are able to fully express an internal personality that we have created ourselves, and usually that expression is a very good thing. Now, does that change our biology? No, I'm kind of a biocentrist, but that's just literally my perspective. I think that everyone is entitled to whatever they think. Now, does that mean that once that interaction happens between them and the external world, if it's different than their internal mind, well, I have had the practice of, fully focusing on my predictive processes, and I do that to further harmonize fully with my environment. Now, is that an easy thing? Well, it comes with practice, and I think it's something that not a lot of us want to do because the problem is, obviously we've all heard this before, we're really comfortable. We enjoy comfortability. It's how we maintain equilibrium and how we survive this comfortability. Now, we know in the long term that this isn't going to be the case. I mean, the thing with animals is that they can just live in their den and be happy, and just go and get some food. But obviously humans are more integrated now. We have a different mindset. Obviously, we're very social creatures, and so we have to go along with the social norm. Otherwise, we're not going to have a very good experience. And so there's a lot more pressure on us into how we live our lives. And there are obviously people who go against that. But, what's interesting is that the people who do usually record YouTube videos. And so you'll see them out in the wilderness. But you'll see them. They still have some form of connection, and people that, give them a very nice positive light and a social network for them to interact with. And obviously I'm sure there are some people that are just living in the woods alone, but I don't think that's the norm. I don't think so. And obviously going out living in the wilderness and doing a YouTube channel isn't the norm either, but it's more normal than you think. And if I'm being honest, I would love to do something like that. Honestly, there's a part of me that's like science, and there's a part of me that's like nature, And obviously, what's the best thing to do? Integrate those two aspects of myself together. And I think eventually that'll lead me to the best possible point. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know why I'm, giving them any advice. I'm 19 years old, but I think that perhaps there's a beauty to young people that I think a lot of older people don't appreciate. I was a tumbling coach for a while, and when I would teach my classes, I would treat my kids like normal human beings, and I would respect them, and I would trust them. Different things of that sort. Now, obviously, there were some crazy kids that you obviously had to reel in, but even then, I would set a standard, and then they would have to follow that. And if they did, then they would get the respect that any adult would. And honestly, I kind of respect them more than most of the adults that I interacted with there, if I'm being honest. And that's because that those adults don't know how to respect somebody younger than them. And if they were to figure that out, I think that they would realize the potential of younger generations. I mean, it's I'm so excited to have kids because they are going to be the most independent people possible. And I'm going to love every single second of it. I don't want to control anyone. I want to nurture people so that they can fully express and realize who they want to be. I think that is one of the most incredible things any parent could ever do. And so obviously I have to wait until I find the one, and that's hard, but I don't believe in soulmates, so I think it'll be not too difficult, of course, but here's the way I look at relationships. You have your goals, you have your life, you have your standards. You're going to continue to cultivate that throughout your entire life. And eventually, in the future, somebody is going to harmonize with those goals, and y'all's souls, if you will start intertwining. And you'll realize that as you continue to strive upwards, that somebody next to you has the same aim. And so what's going to happen is you're going to end up just deciding, hey, we're both on this trajectory. Let's do it together, And I think that's the best way to find somebody if you want to live a long and happy life. Now, obviously, if you aren't compatible, then who cares? You still have your goals, you still have your purpose. And the more you focus on, what's interesting is the more you focus on yourself, the more essence you have to be altruistic with another individual with. And I think that's the thing that people are missing. People just want to take, or they compensate for how much they haven't had anything by just giving. They don't realize that it's supposed to be give, take. I mean, they obviously know it internally because something's missing and they understand it. That's why they're looking for it. They're like, please, I'm giving you all of this, so please take something, Or, and then there's the people who just take, who just have a lot of, problems, mainly being narcissistic. But are they full narcissists? No, I don't think so. They're just not even realizing it. Or they do realize it and they're terrible people. But who am I to judge, right? That's honestly one of the main reasons why I've decided to stay completely single, is because people my age, first of all, they don't have a goal. So there's nobody for me to really harmonize with, if you will. And second, they don't know how to give and take. Usually there's people who only know how to give, or people who only know how to take. And that is very problematic for an actual genuine relationship for long-term benefits on both sides. Now, I think people will realize what they need to do later in life, which is fine. I think that's wonderful. I don't think you should be giving and taking while you're still trying to figure out yourself, because what are you giving in the first place? Meaningless things. And my light turned off. Okay, so you're giving meaningless things. That's something. And if you're taking, you're not internalizing that to give back in an expressive way. You're just using it to compensate something you're lacking. And No, obviously we already all know this, but I'm kind of giving you all the reasons why I'm like, no, this, I, it's sad because at this point in life we're supposed to be getting married, and a lot of the problems that I'm talking about, they're not supposed to really exist. And I mean, who knows what cultural or technological reasons there are for this problem, but I think we can all make some fairly educated guesses as to why that's the case. So, yeah, I've been working on this paper recently. It's called Plenoumic Reality. And the plenum, it's a Greek word that means all-encompassing reality. And so, and I kind of use that as kind of like a fun little play on words, because what I'm doing is I'm saying we should get rid of the consciousness and physical dichotomy and just say that reality is information potentiality that actualizes through interaction and takes on mathematical form. Because I think that highly integrated mathematical internal potentiality that we have within ourselves is far different than the logical necessity that interaction between two systems much must take form. And now a system can be just about anything. I mean, seriously, as long as it's a function, then it should work. And that function has many internal potential states, if infinite in nature. And a system can be an electron, or it can be this cup. The interaction can be between the tea and the cup, and that has to take logical form. But inside the systems, well, that might be a different picture. And I don't know. We'll see how that paper goes. Obviously, it's not anything new or novel, but I'm integrating many different parts of different aspects of, complex theory, information theory, and a little bit of quantum mechanics. But I'm trying to stay away from quantum mechanics because I'm indeed no quantum physicist. And so I understand it, of course, at like a normal level as someone who's just like an enthusiast. But I mainly draw quantum analogies because they're very useful when I'm trying to explain internal potentiality that then actualizes or collapses once systems interact. And it's super fun. I really enjoy it. Now, obviously, it goes into far more detail, but you're probably not going to hear, or I'm not going to be publishing this paper for many years. And I want to try to find some, obviously, cognitive um, implications for this paper. That's the main thing. I don't want to have this kind of overarching reality that I'm trying to put forth because I think that's kind of dumb. I'm saying, hey, we should look at reality this way, like many prominent people have, and imply, and the implications of what they're saying means that there's something in our consciousness that we haven't fully understood, or something we could understand. And if it happens here, what are the correlations and what's the causation and how do those interact with each other? And I think it's really fun. It's an extension of my Mies framework, how organisms are oriented to maximize their conscious experience. And it's very much an extension of that because there's patterns that then organize that orientation, and the goal is to maximally elongate their experience to fully harmonize with the patterns innate to their biology. And this is pretty much just like an overarching extension of that. It's actually the true ontology instead of just a more idealistic ontology that then implies this. It's more so this is the ontology that then can correlate with my other framework. And it's really fun. I really enjoy it. There's honestly a part of me that wants to become, I don't know, like an evolutionary biologist. But I'm fine. I can do other things. I think being a neuroscientist is far more interesting. Personally, I love the brain. I mean, before this, I was looking at the anterior cingulate cortex and its connections with the thalamus and the prefrontal cortex. I think that those networks that connect with each other are very interesting. That's for sure. And what sucks is that I haven't been doing this for very long. You know, it's really been a year since I've started my journey. And I want to continue, obviously. It's interesting how understanding the brain has completely changed my life. I mean, seriously, even understanding what generates the model of the world we live in inside our brains has changed the way I view things, because it's all out here, but it's also in here. And I don't know which one is primary. And I have an intuition that this is what's primary to me. But the me that I experience is simply a subset organizational pattern brought about by highly integrated awareness. And so if that subjective model of who I am were to lessen or to go away completely, if there was an ego dissolution, what would be primary? I think experience in and of itself, a more binary one. And simple, rudimentary experience. So I will figure that out after Costa Rica, and I'll let you know what I figure out. So, all in due time. But yeah, anyway, it's just a little update on how I've been doing and what I've been working on. So hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.